So good morning. It's great to see everybody. I'm Reverend Cathy Merchant. And before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that we're seating on that those of us here in Vancouver on the land of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. I know many of you are on the land of other nations, so if you'd like, please feel free to write those nation names in the chat now. And always, let's remember our connection to our siblings in these nations. And let's pray for the day in which we might all be together in right relationship. So welcome to Living Interfaith. Know that the whole of you is welcome. You're not asked to leave who you are in your own homes. Please bring who you are in with you. But what you are asked to remember is that everyone here around you has brought who they are in with them as well. And all of goodwill are welcome. So we're going to do our opening song right now, which is the same song we always start with. So it's Come, Come, Whoever You Are. I know many of you already know the lyrics to it. So Bruce and Cheryl can't be with us today. So Greg has very graciously just decided that he can play the music for it, which we are so grateful for. But because of the sound, we can't both sing and have the music playing at the same time in the recording. So Doralee is going to put up the music with the lyrics, and Greg is going to play, and the rest of us are going to mute ourselves and just sing in our own homes. So when you're ready, over to you, Greg.
Yeah, Greg needs to know how many times through, twice or three.
Can you do 3, please?
I sure can.
Fantastic. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Greg and Doralee. So I have some announcements for us. So the first one is that later today here in Vancouver, there's going to be a free event at Massey Arts Society on the downtown east side. The event is entitled How to Have Anti-Racist Conversations, and it's being led by author and clinical psychologist, Dr. Roxy Manning. It'll be about navigating complex conversations while still maintaining self-compassion. And you can find out more about the event here. Here, let me just put that in the chat for us. And my next announcement is there's going to be a High Holidays Cemetery service tomorrow, which is Sunday, October 6th at 11 a.m. at the Shahara Zedek Holocaust Memorial Chapel in Vancouver. So this is to honor all those who were killed during the Holocaust and the survivors today. So this takes place every year between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You can find out more information here. This in the chat. And then Monday, October 7th, will be the 1-year anniversary of the Hamas attack in Israel and the subsequent horrible year-long war that we have now. So if people want to grieve together, to take some time to reflect and just hold each other in prayer and in meditation, I actually have been leading a weekly prayer vigil every Tuesday at noon on Zoom. It's about 30 minutes. I usually share a prayer or a poem, and folks share any news or any other poems or songs or anything they have. And then we just silently pray together. So it's on Zoom every Tuesday, and I'll put the link for that in the chat. And it's open to everybody if anyone would like to join that. And then finally, I've mentioned before that some of us are going to go on the Peace Train in November, which is a group of about 40 of us who are going from Vancouver to Ottawa on the train. It's going to take about 5 days to get there. And then the goal is to meet with lawmakers in Ottawa and encourage them to try to vote in a way that will encourage peace in the world. And we have a petition that the organizers from Vancouver Island have put together. If you have status in Canada, please consider signing the Peace Train petition. The goal is, it says, we, the undersigned citizens and residents of Canada, call upon the House of Commons in Parliament assembled to establish and fund a Centre of Excellence for Peace and Justice. This focused on research, education, and training in conflict resolution, diplomacy, and peace operations for Canadian civilians, police, military personnel, and the international community. So we need to get at least 500 signatures on this in order for them to actually vote on it at the Parliament. So if you have status in Canada, please go there and help us. I think we have about 185 signatures so far. So anyone who can help us spread the word about it, we would really appreciate it. So those are all my announcements right now. Does anybody else have any announcements? Yes, Samir.
I have two announcements. The first is that one of our favorite musicians is actually playing in Vancouver tomorrow. This is David Drovix. He's playing at the Painted Ship in Vancouver at 7 p.m. tomorrow, which is October 6th. And yeah, and he sings songs of social justice. And I learned something from listening to his songs every time. So we'd love, we're going with a few friends and we'd love to see some of you there as well if you're able to make it. And the other announcement is that next weekend, so on the 12th, is the next Repair Cafe in Vancouver. It's going to be held at the Kitsilano Community Center. And it's people bring, we have these mostly every month here in Vancouver, and people can bring various items to fix that might otherwise end up in landfill, small appliances, textiles, electronics, things that need to be glued together, bikes. Yeah, so hope to see some of you there. I'm planning to be a volunteer there, an assistant fixer, so maybe I'll see some of you there.
That's great. Thank you, Samir. Does anyone else have any other announcements? Yes, Dorothy.
Hi, good morning. I just want to announce that our next service on October 19th is going to be a mixed in-person and virtual service, and it's going to be the celebration of Sukkot, part of the high holy days for the Jewish tradition. I'm going to be hosting, for those of you who live in and around Vancouver and would like to join the in-person part, I'm going to be hosting here at my place. We have a little garden that we're going to build a sukkah in to be able to host the event underneath. So if anybody is in Vancouver and they would like to, or around the area, or would like to come specifically for it, I can fit probably about 10 people, maybe a little bit more comfortably-ish in our area. So I'm going to just put a link in the chat, and that'll go out also in our newsletter. If anybody would like to just put your name on this little sign-up sheet here, and then we can email you details such as my address as we get closer, and any more invitational instructions like food to bring or things like that. So I'm very, very excited about hosting this next service. And of course, we'll also have the online and virtual portion as well, so everybody can join from wherever they are also. So thank you.
And what was that date?
That's October 19th and 2 Saturdays from today. Thank you, Pam.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other announcement? Okay, let's just come into silence. And we've just added this little meditation piece of the service. It's especially good to have it today since we're honoring Bodhidharma. Let's just take a few moments. Feel free to close your eyes. Sit back in your chair or in your car or on your bed, wherever you're sitting. Just take a few deep breaths. And center yourself for today. Thank you. I have an opening prayer. This is from the Hakuin Zenji, the Song of Zazen. All beings by nature are Buddha, as ice by nature is water. Apart from water, there is no ice. Apart from beings, there is no Buddha. How sad that people ignore the near and search for truth afar. like someone in the midst of water crying out in thirst, or like a child of a wealthy home wandering among the poor. Lost on dark paths of ignorance, we wander through the 6 worlds, from dark path to dark path. When shall we be freed from birth and death? Oh, the Zazen of the Mahayana, to this the highest praise. Devotion, repentance, training, the many paramitas all have their source in Zazen or sitting meditation. Those who try Zazen or sitting meditation even once wipe away beginningless crimes. Where are all the dark paths then? The Pure Land itself is near. And those who hear this truth even once and listen with a grateful heart, treasuring it, revering it, gain blessings without end. Much more those who turn about and bear witness to self-nature that's no nature, which goes beyond mere doctrine. Here effect and cause are the same. The way is neither 2 nor 3, with form that is no form, going and coming, we're never astray. With thought that is no thought, singing and dancing are the voice of the law. Boundless and free is the sky of samadhi, bright the full moon of wisdom. Truly, is anything missing now? Nirvana is right here, before our eyes. This very place is the lotus land, and this very body, the Buddha. And I believe Dorley has a candle lighting prayer for us.
Yes. Thank you. This is a prayer from the Venerable Master Xing, a prayer upon arising in the morning. O great compassionate Buddha, today is a new beginning. It is said that morning hours are the best time of day. On such a fine morning, I recall past experiences. I have failed, but have never been disappointed. I have been sad, but have already been able to open my mind peacefully. I have been wronged, but have understood that everything in this world arises and extinguishes according to the law of dependent origination. I have shed tears, but have deeply believed that tomorrow will be better. Today, under the blessing and protection of your compassionate Buddha light, I pray to you to grant me the courage to face all challenges on this day. I pray to you, grant me the patience to accept all setbacks on this day. I pray to you to grant me the strength to carry out all work on this day. I pray to you to grant me the wisdom to be grateful for all causes and conditions on this day. O great compassionate Buddha, please help me increase my wisdom. Help me open my mind, that I might be able to appreciate the wonders of sky and earth, that I may be able to be grateful for the warmth of the world, that I may be able to obtain the assistance of friends, and may be able to realize the value of Dharma. O great compassionate Buddha, please bless me as I possess spiritual wisdom and the Buddha mind. May I have prana wisdom and compassion and liberate people from suffering. O great compassionate Buddha, I recognize the presence of your image in my mind. I realize that I came to the human world to be happy. I understand that I have entered into society to contribute. I know that I am cultivating the way to enlightenment to benefit all. I vow from this moment on to benefit all sentient beings and awaken myself and others every day. I vow from today on to bring good fortune and benefit to the nation and the people, and to liberate self and others every moment. O great compassionate Buddha, please accept my sincerest morning prayer. O great compassionate Buddha, please accept my most sincerest morning prayer.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And now feel free to unmute yourselves and we'll offer one another a sign of peace. So peace, everyone. So good to see you today.
Peace unto all.
Peace to you all.
Peace be with
Peace.
you. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace
be
to
with you.
all. Yes. Thank you.
Peace, my friend.
Peace to everyone.
Love.
Peace to everyone. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And now, Dorley, I think you have the song loaded. So if the sound works, just do a thumbs up, everybody, so we know that we can hear it. So you're going to play the song We Are Leaves of One Tree.
Of one tree, we are the leaf of one tree. The time has come for all to live as one. We are the leaf of one tree. We are the wealth of one seed. We are the wealth of one seed. The time has come for all to live as one. We are the wealth of one seed. We are the star of one sky. We are the star of one sky. The time has come for all to live as one. We are the star of one sky.เราคือใบไม้ต้นเดียวกัน เราคือใบไม้ต้นเดียวกัน เวลามีมาให้เราได้เคยร่วมกัน เราคือใบไม้ต้นเดียวกัน เราคือลูกเพลงทะเลเดียวกัน เราคือลูกเพลงทะเลเดียวกัน เวลามีมาให้เราได้ใช้ร่วมกัน เราคือลูกเพลงทะเลเดียวกัน เราคือดวงดาวฟ้าเดียวกัน เราคือดวงดาวฟ้าเดียวกัน เวลามีมาให้เราได้ใช้ร่วมกัน เราคือดวงดาวฟ้าเดียวกัน
It's beautiful. Thank you so much. And now, if you'll join me in our joint affirmation. We come together in peace. We sing together in joy and with love. We worship together in one house, a house with names beyond number. Our paths are many, our beliefs are as leaves, and the tree that we cleave to is nourished by the light of compassion, justice, and mutual respect. May our lives, our beliefs, and our actions help to bring about the world of love we all seek, and let it begin here. So now is when we take some time to pray, just in our own homes and in our own ways. You're welcome to pray for any people or places or causes that you'd like. I know for myself right now, the anniversary of the October 7th attack is weighing pretty heavily on me. It'll be the 1-year anniversary in 2 days. So I'm remembering the 1,200 Israelis who were killed about a year ago and the 251 who were taken hostage by Hamas in Israel. Also, I'm mourning the 42,000 Gazans who've been killed in the last year, as well as it's almost 700 Palestinians who've been killed in the West Bank. And then now it's around 2,000 Lebanese people who've been killed in the attack there. And I just have a lot of grief and anxiety about the future in that region. So that's what I'll be praying for, but you're welcome to pray for that or anything else that's on your mind right now. So we'll take a couple minutes to pray. Thank you. And now Dorlee has another song for us. It hasn't started yet, just so you. Try that again. We can't hear it. Hey, there we go. Thank you. We can't hear it. Thank you, Dorley. Thanks for that. So thank you for coming today. And also thank you so much to all who donate financially and in your many, many volunteer hours, of which I know some people, it's been a lot lately, to help run this community. So we're so grateful. I'm going to put our Zephy page in the chat. And Justin is the reason we have a Zephy page, and he is so blessed for that. Zephy is a way that we can receive donations without them all going to PayPal, and then PayPal taking a big cut. So thank you to all who donate to keep us going, and to pay our speakers, and to pay Bruce and Cheryl when they're with us, and Rachel and Zunera, who are amazing. So thank you. And if you donate in your volunteer hours, we're just so grateful. So thank you. I'm going to try to share the next song. Just give me a thumbs up when the sound starts. And if it doesn't start, I will figure something out.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
All right, I know it's still playing. Hold on a second. There we go. Hopefully that was okay. That worked for folks. Good, good. We're sorting everything out. So yes, so I am the one speaking today. So this is the start of my Dharma talk. Samir said it can be confusing when I'm leading a service and also speaking because he can't tell when I'm just talking and when it transitions into my actual talk. So it's transitioning now, just so you know. Yes. So today we are honoring the anniversary of the death of Bodhidharma. So Bodhidharma, how many folks here have heard of Bodhidharma? In a show of hands. A little bit. Few people? Okay, cool. He is a character. So you're gonna enjoy this. You're gonna learn a lot more about him than you wanted to know. Hopefully. So yes, so he was a semi-legendary Buddhist monk who lived during the 5th century CE in China. He's traditionally considered the founder of Zen Buddhism and is regarded as the person who brought that version of Buddhism into China, where it's known as Chan Buddhism. And Chan, of course, predated Zen, but it's very, very similar to what we think of as Zen now. Zen kind of arose in Japan later, but the main principles and practices of Zen came from Bodhidharma and his own understanding and practice of Buddhism. So he was said also to have begun, because he didn't have enough going on inventing Zen Buddhism, he was also said to be the one who began the physical training of the monks of Shaolin Monastery, which led to the creation of Shaolin Kung Fu. So he founded Zen and he also started Shaolin Kung Fu. So he was an overachiever. He had a lot on his plate. And his name, Bodhidharma, means the Dharma of awakening Bodhi in Sanskrit, which would loosely mean the teaching of awakening wisdom. And it's from his practices that it's understood that we can awaken. And that's one of the main principles in Zen, is in other forms of Buddhism, you have to practice for a long time to really perfect things. Versus in Zen, you can have an instant awakening. And he is believed to have had that himself, and that's where his teachings come from. So here, I do have some slides. They're mostly pictures, but I think you'll appreciate them. So I'm going to share these off and on as I talk. And there we go. Give me a thumbs up when you can see that. Perfect. Okay, good. Yes, so this is him. And he's usually depicted in these kind of ways. He's kind of a grumpy looking guy. He was considered quite ill-mannered. And so there's not a lot of contemporary information about him. So most accounts have a lot of legend and unreliable details. And it's kind of funny because if you read original texts about him, they kind of say one thing. And then over time, like later texts, it's more and more becomes like a whole thing. So there's like the legend and legacy of Bodhidharma. So according to the principal Chinese sources, he came from what's called the Western regions. And I have a picture of the Western region. So this is in the 1st century. So if you look at this, it's kind of where it says Parthian Empire, that's sort of northeastern Iran, and then up into the Stans. So Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, in the south you have Afghanistan and even Pakistan and Uzbekistan, and then what's now sort of Tibet or Western China. So yeah, so I have that. So the Western region. So he's thought generally to come from this area. If we go back to him. So depending on the text, he's described as being either like a Persian Central Asian origin or South Indian. So in various texts say he's South Indian, and especially it's kind of funny. Sources kind of want to claim him for themselves. So a lot of Indian sources say he's South Indian. A lot of other sources say he's more Persian. It kind of depends. The ones who say South Indian say he was the 3rd son of a great Indian king or descended from a Brahmin king. And let's see, accounts differ on the date of his arrival into China. So he definitely traveled a lot. In one of his accounts himself, he said that he'd been to every country in the world, which I don't think was probably true, but he traveled a lot and definitely came and had studied Buddhism outside of China and was the one who brought it into China. And in the depictions of him, he always has big eyes, often without eyelids, which I'll tell you about soon. There's a funny story about that. Although, again, I think that's just a legend. But he's not depicted as being Chinese. So the one thing we know for sure is he traveled a lot, had studied Buddhism elsewhere, and then brought Buddhism into China. Accounts differ on the date of his arrival. One early account says he arrived around like 420 CE. Others say around like 502 CE. I was especially active up in the north. So modern scholarship dates him to have come to China around the early 5th century. And the anthology of the Patriarchal Hall identifies him as the 28th patriarch of Buddhism in an uninterrupted line that extends all the way back to the original Shakyamuni Buddha. So it's said that, like, in this lineage, he came from the original Buddha, and he was the 28th main teacher of Buddhism and the first one to come into China. So he was the first Chinese patriarch. Let's see, I'm trying to see, I have various notes on him. In the first text that mentions him, it's called the Record of the Buddhist Monasteries of Luoyang from 547 CE. It was written that at that time there was a monk of the western region named Bodhidharma. He traveled from the wild borderlands to China. And as he saw the golden discs on the pole on top of our stupa reflected in the sun, the rays of light illuminated the surface of the clouds, and the jewel bells on the stupa blew in the wind, and the echoes reverberated beyond the heavens. He started singing his praises. He said, "Truly, this stupa is the work of spirits." He told us, "I'm 150 years old and have passed through numerous countries. There's virtually no country I've not visited. Even the distant Buddha realms lack a stupa such as this." And then he chanted homage and placed his palms together in salutation for days on end. And so that's the first written account of him. And then the accounts, as they go, they kind of become more and more larger than life. Let me see. So maybe I'll get to those in a little bit. So there are various practices that come from him. So he's traditionally seen as introducing Mahayana Buddhist practice. So the idea in Mahayana is that it isn't just the person themselves who's practicing who can acquire merit to help all beings reach enlightenment, but in the Theravadan, in the original tradition, you have to do it yourself, kind of, to reach nirvana. But in Mahayana, you can do this and acquire merit for all beings. So he's seen as an awakened being or a bodhisattva. So the work he's doing would not only help himself wake up, but also help others wake up. So he wrote a work called 2 Entrances and 4 Practices. And that's widely regarded as our main source of his teachings. So in this, he taught that there are 2 entrances or ways to get into the Dharma or the teaching. And the first is a sudden awakening that we can have. So we can just suddenly see the stupa, this beautiful stupa, and then hear the bells jingling and suddenly wake up seeing that. Or you hear a bell or a singing bowl or something like this, and you have a moment of clarity and you can wake up. And so it's the sudden awakening, which is a facet of the Zen tradition. So Zen tradition believes in a sudden awakening. And then the second entrance is through these 4 practices. So you either have a sudden awakening or one that's more gradual, and it's through practices. And then the practices, he says, are accepting that all our sufferings are the fruit of past karma, or things that we have done before, accepting our circumstances with equanimity. So just trusting that, okay, this is what happens, so this is what I'm going to have to face in my life without doing a lot of resistance. Working to be without craving. So not trying to acquire more things in our life or constantly seeking more than we have, something different than we have. And then letting go of wrong thoughts so that we can practice the 6 perfections of wisdom. And so it's kind of interesting because of the kind of poisons in Buddhism. There's craving, which is one that he specifically mentions here. There's aversion, which is the letting go of the wrong thoughts. And there's delusion, and the delusion that we're going to be separate, or that, like, our life should be different. And so he kind of, in his 4 teachings of the 4 entrances, the 4 practices, he's kind of reflecting on some of the poisons that are understood in Buddhism to add to our suffering. So in this text, he writes that those who turn back from delusion back to reality, who meditate on walls, the absence of self and the other, the oneness of a mortal and sage, who remain unmoved even by scriptures, are in complete and unspoken agreement with reason. And this is where he invented something called wall gazing. And so this, in the picture here, the one on the left, so that is a famous picture of him with his student watching him. And it's said that he sat in a cave for years and years, just staring at the wall without speaking. And it kind of, it's from this practice that we have modern day Zazen. So these are Zen monks in Japan. And if you ever go to a Zen practice, it's very common that you sit very, very close to the wall and your eyes are usually open, but looking down somewhat often kind of where the wall meets the floor, although it doesn't have to be that way. And you just sit silently. And so, and he was believed to have invented this practice because you don't have a lot of distractions. If you're sitting out in nature and if you're kind of sitting by the river, or if you're sitting in the forest, things are moving, there are animals, there are things that you can kind of get captivated by or distracted by, but the wall doesn't really do that. So if you sit and face the wall, it sounds very boring, but then you can kind of just be with your mind. So he's thought to have invented wall gazing. You see, and yes, and also even the idea of sitting during meditation. There's a lot of walking meditations, and some sources say he was the first one to really make it important that his disciples were sitting while they were meditating rather than doing other types. So trying to make like life around you as boring or as still as possible, so you could still your mind. So that's said to have come from him. So there are many koans attributed to him and also about him. So he's a very significant figure in the Zen koan tradition. And these are usually little stories that don't make any sense at face value. Like you'll hear one, what is the meaning of life? And then it's like the master hits the student with a fish. It's like a classic kind of koan, and you're like, what's that about? And it's like he wakes him up, like he gets hit with a fish, and that's the thing that wakes him up. Or, there are some here, a monk asked Zazu, what's the meaning of Bodhidharma's coming from the West? And Zazu says, the cypress tree in front of the hall. And this is an actual koan attributed to Dogen, who collected koans. And there's a note that says, this is because Bodhidharma came from the West, unattached to any words. So he was unattached to a place. He was unattached to words, rather sitting and staring at the wall in silence, pointed directly into the mind of man, advocated seeing one's own nature and becoming the Buddha. So why would he come from the West? He was like the tree sitting in front of the hall, so like perfectly still and at one with its nature. So there's a modern collection of Zen koans where one teacher said they collected more than 1,600 of these. And a koan beginning, why did Bodhidharma come from the West, shows up in 32 different koans. So with 32 different answers. Some of the answers are kind of funny. Why did he come from the West? Because sitting for a long time becomes tiresome. We had to walk around. Or why did he come from the West? Past the cushion. So he came from the West to teach us that we must sit. Why did he come from the West? The cow was given birth. Take good care of it. Those are one of the answers, because this is life, and now we must do what we do with what happened. So it's kind of funny. So there are different interpretations of koans, but usually you listen or you read a koan and then you just sit with it. And so he didn't invent koans, but there are lots of koans about him and by him, which are kind of funny. Let me make sure I'm getting all my slides here. Yes. So, here, before I get to that, there's a great story where it's said, so these are some popular stories about him. And again, it's hard to tell what really happened and what is just a story. But it said that he encountered Emperor Wu of Liang, and this was their exchange. And this is listed as the first koan in the Blue Cliff record of koans. Emperor Wu says, how much karmic merit have I earned for ordaining Buddhist monks, building monasteries, having sutras copied, and commissioning Buddha images? And Bodhidharma answers, none. Good deeds done with worldly intent bring good karma, but no merit. And Emperor Wu said, what's the highest meaning of noble truth then? And Bodhidharma says, there is no noble truth. There's only emptiness. And Emperor Wu says, then who are you standing before me? And Bodhidharma says, I know not, your majesty. So it's kind of his stories. He's such an enigmatic figure. He's almost like the Zen version of Socrates, where he like goes against lots of wisdom. And he's kind of like Socrates, where he's balding and very grumpy, like has the same kind of thing. And then also with the wall gazing, there's a story. So it said that when he failed to make a favorable impression in South China, he traveled to the Shaolin monastery, which we'll talk about soon. And it said at first he was refused entry, so he was grumpy. And he went to a nearby cave. And then it was said that he sat and faced the wall for 9 years there without speaking the entire time. And a popular story about this says that after 7 years, he fell asleep. And then he woke up and he became so angry with himself that he cut off his eyelids so he couldn't fall asleep again. And legend says that when they hit the floor, the first tea plants sprang up, and they could providing tea to the world as a stimulant to help Zen students stay awake while they were meditating. So that's part of why in a lot of pictures of him, he doesn't have any eyelids, like especially in the middle one, you can see he doesn't really have eyelids. So he's awake. So supposedly tea comes from him too, because he was so rigorous with his practice. So yes, but it's definitely true that he went to Shaolin Monastery. So Shaolin Temple is where this red star is here in China, and it predated him. And Samir and I were talking about it this morning, and I'm glad I was, because I said, I think he invented Kung Fu. And Samir said, no, that can't be right. I think he invented Shaolin Kung Fu. And so thank you, Samir. So I looked it up, and Kung Fu itself actually dates back to the Shang Dynasty around 1800 BCE. So that's a very, very old practice. And that's where the original martial arts of Kung Fu were used for self-defense, hunting, and military training. But then he himself came to Shaolin Monastery to teach meditation. And when he was doing that, it was said that he became unhappy with the poor physical condition of the monks there. So he wanted to instruct them in techniques that will help maintain their physical condition as well as their mental condition. And it's also said that they were meditating for so long that their legs were hurting. So he invented this kind of practice in order to help them so they could last in meditation longer. And so the physical exercises he taught are called the 18 Arhat hands. So these are 18 martial arts poses that are based on the forms and expressions of statues that you would see of Buddhist teachers. And so these kind of statues were found in different temples and monasteries at the time. And so based on those statues, he found these 18 poses, and he was to have his students go through these 18 poses. And today, these are considered the basic forms of Shaolin Kung Fu. So I just love that he didn't have enough going on with teaching hours and hours of meditation. He had to also invent his own martial art. And Samir and I had taken Kung Fu classes with our kids for about a year here in Richmond. And so I recognize several of these poses because these are the basic poses that you go through in basic Shaolin. So yes, so he did that. And then, also with martial arts, it said that after being at Shaolin, he traveled more through Southeast Asia, and he helped spread some of these poses into Malaysia and Indonesia. And even today, it said that their martial arts had been influenced by him. So he had a very big scope in who he influenced. And then finally, he died eventually. It said that he may have died when there was a big political uprising and they were executing a lot of the leaders in his area in China. They know that one Buddhist monk was killed during that, and they think it might have been him, but it's a little unclear. But there's another account that after he died, and after his burial, Song Yung, who was an official of one of the later Wei kingdoms, encountered him on the road. And it said that he was carrying a single sandal, like you see here. And then when they were speaking, Bodhidharma predicted the death of Song Yung's ruler. And then when Song Yung got back home, he found out that ruler had died. And so they actually opened up the tomb to see if Bodhidharma was still there. And all they found was a single sandal and no body or anything else. So you'll see a lot of pictures and statues and things of him just carrying his single sandal. So he's quite a character. So his legacy today, so his image has become the inspiration for these Daruma dolls. Daruma is actually the Japanese name for Bodhidharma. And these are good luck charms. So you see all of them look quite angry like him. So again, he was quite a grumpy character. And so these have continued on since him. And so these are very popular. People give them to other people as good luck charms. And they have kind of the round body, but no legs, because it said that he sat for so long that his legs atrophied. And that's why these don't have any legs. So they're just these little round balls. And every year there's a Daruma doll festival in Japan, and over 400,000 people come to celebrate him and purchase new dolls. So it's pretty enormous. So that is Bodhidharma. So he's quite a character. And but I thought you'd appreciate hearing that. And so we honor him today. It's said to be the anniversary of his death. And then I just want to transition briefly to my friend, Joseph Conrad. So Joseph, he was in the Living Interfaith Church community. He himself was a Buddhist and Taoist priest. So it's a perfect time to honor him. He had come to Buddhism by way of studying martial arts and was himself a martial arts instructor, not of Kung Fu. But he had multiple black belts and had studied Zen and was a Zen teacher. And so I met Joseph in 2011, I believe, is when he joined the Living Interfaith Church. And then we served together on the board there, and he's been on the board basically since then, and in various capacities as our treasurer and doing outreach and secretary and all sorts of things. And so this is him in the center. He always maintained a bald head after he was ordained. And in the picture, you can see him with some of his teachers on the right. And he would often come to the Living Interfaith Church. He originally, now I kind of do all the Buddhist services, but he used to do all the Buddhist services. And even like the way that you pray like this, I had learned from him. So I learned a lot from him. And then the picture on the left is his little daughter, Emily, is into dance. And he used to do dance with her and would always take her, and he'd bring her to the church. And so here he is dressed up as a giant fairy godmother. Was in one of her dance performances, which is so sweet. And he was such a good sport about it. He would show us all these pictures of him at these dance performances with Emily. And so I've known Joseph a really long time. He was lovely, had a great sense of humor, really lovely guy. And sadly, I just found out about a week and a half ago that he passed away at the end of August at the age of 57. So we remember Joseph and thinking about Bodhidharma today. I think it's a good time to honor Joseph and his own legacy and all the friends and loved ones and family he leaves behind. Thank you for listening. So that is my presentation. I am going to play one more song and I'll do a quick prayer. And if you have to go before that, I know I talked for a while, so feel free to head out. But otherwise, you can stay after and we can chat a bit more. So this
Thank you
is,
so much. That was really interesting.
oh, thank you. Good. So this is the song No Mud, No Lotus. And just give me a thumbs up when I know that you can hear it.
No mud, no lotus, no mud, no lotus. No lotus, no mud, no lotus, no mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus. No lotus, no mud, not two but one, has breath and blood. No dirt, no roses, no roses, no dirt. Can't know my joys until I know my hurt. No mud, no lotus. No lotus, no mud. Not two but one. Has breath and blood. No dawn, no darkness. No darkness, no dawn. Without you here, there would be no song. No mud, no lotus. No lotus, no mud. Not two but one. Has breath and blood. My hope in your eyes. Your journey in me to peace through every breath. Waking up to a brand new day. Everything's gonna be okay. No darkness, no dawn. My heart can sing this song. No lotus, no mud. No lotus, no mud. No lotus. No lotus, no mud. No lotus, no mud. No lotus. No lotus, no mud. No lotus, no mud. No lotus. No lotus, no mud. No lotus, no mud. No lotus. No lotus. No lotus, no mud. No lotus, no mud. No lotus. No lotus, no mud. No lotus, no mud. No lotus. No lotus, no mud. No lotus, no mud. No lotus.
So thank you so much for joining today, friends. And I hope going forward, we can take the legacy of Bodhidharma with us, that we can awaken at any time, that we don't need to travel far or do anything different than we're already doing, but we can just be fully present with the people around us and ourselves. We can ground ourselves. And through this, we can find pure peace.